Welcome back to The Grind. I've got some brand new products coming in hot from Aero Precision. The M4E1 Pro lower receivers, the enhanced Mod 4 handguards, plus some upgrade parts on today's Gear Grind. Hey, I'm Travis, the product guy at at3tactical.com. Basically, when we bring stuff onto the site, I'm the guy making sure it's going to be quality, affordable, cool, or a mix of all three. We want to sell stuff that excites us, things we'd actually use, not a bunch of crap. All right, we're fresh off Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and some of these have been in stock during the sale, but I wanted to give these products their due because I'm really excited to show them for you all. As always, we're hitting on the most important 5 F's when it comes to today's gun gear: fit, feel, form, function, and features. And I'm gonna try and get through it in about 5 minutes. Let's roll. A lot of you know by now, I love ambidextrous AR lowers, and Aero's new M4E1 Pro lower might be my new favorite. Let's take a look. Fit. At its core, this is a mil-spec lower receiver. It will snap onto standard upper receivers, accept standard triggers, buffer tubes, lower parts, etc. But a couple parts you won't need are your bolt catch and magazine parts. The Pro lowers include a fully ambidextrous magazine and bolt catch assembly. All your springs and parts are taken care of for those, and they're all upgrades compared to mil-spec. Aero has also released a new safety and takedown pin set to go with this lower, more on those later, but if you prefer other options, those will still work beautifully. Feel. Interesting thing about feel here, and where I think this lower shines in comparison to ambidextrous lowers. I've retrofitted a number of guns with ambi parts, and they work great when you're doing dynamic shooting, switching shoulders, and so on. But a lot of the ambi solutions out there are sort of compromises with the design of a standard lower receiver. This new forging allows you to truly have the same manual of arms on both sides of your rifle, with extended magazine buttons and extended bolt catch and release. Not only are your controls really easy to access, they work the same way on both sides, which is almost never the case on a lot of so-called ambi lowers outside of what you see from LWRC, LMT, and a few others. So that's really cool. With the Pro lower based on the original M4E1, your ideal upper receiver as far as looks go will also be the M4E1. That way, the lines and machining of the lower receiver are going to match up pretty seamlessly with your upper, so I'd start there if you're going for a full build. You can also get this lower in 3 colors: anodized black, OD green, and Kodiak brown. At this time, no Cerakote options, but these options are also available for most of Aero Precision's lineup, so you'll be able to get a fairly closely matched build together. I say fairly because with all these finishes being anodized, you're going to have some variations in color between different parts. That's just kind of how batch anodizing works, and I would say there's a charm to it, but I've answered enough customer service calls about color matching to know not everyone finds it that charming. So I'll say instead, temper your expectations on a full build. Function. These lowers work very well because the design is actually very straightforward and novel. There's not a ton of new parts being added to the rifle to make these ambi components work. There's maybe a little bit of extra return spring for the bolt catch, a few simple linkages, but outside of that, it's just a really nice lower receiver. Slap in your favorite AR trigger, your choice of magazine, get your stock and recoil assembly, and you're off to the races. As long as you're building out one of these lowers with quality components or getting a complete assembly off the shelf, as long as your upper is sound, you're going to be in for a great time. Features. No big secret here, the best feature for the Pro lower is the ambi controls. So let's shop around for a moment. There's a number of options on the market for ambidextrous lowers, but they tend to hover around the $500 to $600 price point depending on if they're complete or not. The M4E1 Pro as a stripped lower is under $300, and if you want it complete with a stock and grip, under $500. These are actually very budget friendly if you're looking at this set of features for yourself. Especially with the stripped lowers. If you've got some good stuff lying around or waiting to be migrated from other guns, you're going to be in pretty good shape because this will work with basically anything. Better performance from your lower? Done. Now let's talk about the handguard and how Aero has improved their design for durability and night vision use with the Mod 4 handguards. These are AR-15 handguards. They won't fit on your 308 platforms, but at any rate, M4E1 uppers and standard forged uppers will work just fine for attaching this handguard. If you've got a billet upper receiver you want to use, you'll want to pay attention to the top of your receiver. The Mod 4 handguard uses 2 nylon tip set screws for a tight fit with its anti-rotation tabs. Some billet designs will work just fine, others may not, so buyer beware in those cases. But other than that, if you've got forged uppers, if you're not sure, you're probably in the clear. As far as installation goes, it's really no sweat. Just torque the barrel nut to spec, tighten the screws at the top, and you're golden. Feel. This is a sleek but substantial handguard. This is not designed to be ultra lightweight, but you still have a very slim, comfortable feel down the length of the handguard. The Mod 4 is a bit chunkier at the rear to accommodate the hardware, and it mounts to a fairly long steel barrel nut. There's no lightning cuts at the top other than a little scallop for the Picatinny rail, and having 7 sides of M-LOK slots keep the weight manageable. Overall, you're going to notice a slight increase in weight compared to, say, an Aero Atlas R1 handguard, but we're not talking full quad rail hefty here. Think more along the lines of a Geissele Mark 8. Strong, substantial, but still fairly light. Form. Like the Pro lowers I just talked about, these handguards come in black, OD green, and Kodiak brown, all anodized shades. In terms of machining, you do have a little bit of texture at the sides here to aid with grip, and all the M-LOK slots are offset. Looks great, but there's a functional reason for it I'll get to. There's also a slight scoop at the front of the handguard, but other than that, these are fairly utilitarian in aesthetic. They come in a variety of lengths ranging from 10.6 to 15 inches, so you'll be able to find a great fit for barrels anywhere from 11.5 to 18 inches or more. This is where things get a bit interesting. Now, full disclosure, I haven't done any long-term testing with these handguards, but for general use, these are more than adequate for basically any application you've got. The M-LOK is in spec, the fit is tight as hell, and the steel inserts in the QDs will ensure longevity for sling attachment. But the big reason why this handguard is a bit heftier, a bit overbuilt you might say, is for night vision. The long steel barrel nut, the unbroken Picatinny up top, and the offset M-LOK slots all work in concert to reduce deflection. And those, I will say, are the most important features. Generally speaking, when you've got a handguard loaded up with an IR laser, illuminator, white light, pressure pad, foregrip, all that weight ends up as leverage that can throw off your IR device's zero. All that happening completely independent of additional heat and stress on the barrel if you're running a suppressor. So it's important to get as much right as you can with the handguard. I'd be fairly confident in saying the Mod 4 handguard is going to offer better performance on that front than the average M-LOK handguard. With the right amount of mass and leverage, you'll need to minimize deflection and stay on target with your IR devices. Aero's also got some new small parts to go with their Pro Ambi lower. Let's dive into the easy takedown and pivot pins and the Pro Ambi safety. Fit. Both the easy install pins and the Pro Ambi safety work on all mil-spec AR lowers. The safety will also work in your AR-10 or LR-308 pattern lowers if you're looking to upgrade your battle rifle. They both have a pretty straightforward installation thanks to a few tweaks to reduce fasteners and tools required. The Pro Safety uses captured detents to retain the levers on either side of the receiver. All you have to do to install your levers is to use a punch to depress the detent and then push the lever into place and lock it once the detent pops into it. The easy install pins are a set, but the real story is this pivot pin. This pin has an additional oversized channel for sliding in your spring than your detent. After that, just depress that detent with a punch, push the pivot pin the rest of the way in, and that's it. No clevis pin, no razor blade, no monotool just for that task. Everything's taken care of with just a punch. Feel. With the Pro Safety, you can configure it any way you like with the included long and short lever. Generally, you want your long lever where your thumb rests so the short lever doesn't scrape your hand on the other side. The Pro Safety can be configured for 90 or 45-degree throw and has a really nice tactile click. What you'd expect from a good Ambi safety. The easy install pins obviously don't do a lot when you're shooting, but for maintenance, these are a nice upgrade from mil-spec. First off, both sides of these pins have indentations that will prevent you or any tools you're using from slipping while you're popping pins or snapping them back into place. It's a nice upgrade from mil-spec. The safety, like the handguards and lowers that come in 3 anodized shades, but the pins are only available in black nitride. It's a steel part that needs to be tough and durable, so that's understandable. I will say, these parts do a nice job of showing your gun is more than just mil-spec without being completely in your face or over-designed. The contours and machining look great on M4E1 and Forged lowers, so if you like the look of these, I don't think you'll be disappointed once you install them. Function. These kinds of lower parts are really kind of set and forget. Outside of some seriously catastrophic circumstances, these parts really aren't going anywhere and should stand the test of time very easily. The steel pins and safety drum have a nice finish that resists corrosion, and with no traditional fasteners on the safety levers, they're really not going to come loose. So these are upgrades, but what's the big draw for them, especially once we look at the price point? I would say it's the durability you're going to get, along with the ease of installation especially. In the case of the easy pins, they're around $26, but you do get the pins, springs, and detents, and won't need additional tools beyond a simple punch to get them installed. And that same punch can be used for the levers on your safety. And since those are held in with springs and detents, they're a lot more secure than just having screws threaded into the side of the drum. The safety is right on par with offerings from Radian in terms of price, so they're not cheap, but they are of very high quality. I hope this gives you some insight on the latest and greatest from Aero Precision. Be sure to check out the new Pro lineup of products, as well as their rifles with cold hammer forged barrels too. It's really nice stuff. Next time we should have some new arrivals in the warehouse, so I'll break down those for you soon as well. And as always, if there's a gun or upgrade you want me to go hands-on with, slap a comment down below. I'll give you my honest take on it in a future video. Peace.